Welcome back to Different Look. If you're just joining us, we're celebrating Women's History Month by saluting women who are successful in non-traditional career fields. The law enforcement career field is arguably the toughest for a woman to navigate and excel on any level. Couple resistance with some stereotypes and the intense scrutiny of an industry that seems to always be under the microscope. And you may wonder why any woman would want to be the boss. To answer that question, we have the director of the Prince George's County Department of Corrections, Mary Lou McDonough, in studio with us. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Answer the question. Why would you want to be the boss?
Well, I was invited to be. The former director, Barry Stanton, who is again my boss, invited me to come over to the Department of Corrections. I had been with the Department of Housing for many years, and he was looking for a deputy director for administration. So when he gave me the chance, I said, maybe this is a good time to try something different, and it sure is.
For a lot of people, they may not understand what the job entails as the director, but it is similar, or is it just like being a warden?
I am a warden.
Okay.
In Prince George's County, we have a Department of Corrections, and we use the term director, but I am the warden of the county. And I control the Department of Corrections, which is the jail in Prince George's County. It's the local jail. And
there were some organizations that rather pushed back, or they were not supportive of you being nominated. What was that like?
Well,
for you?
I think I was well received in my position as a deputy director, but when I moved ahead to the director position, I did not start my career in corrections. I did not come up through the line, as a correctional officer. So I think there were some of my officers who felt like that I really couldn't do the job because I hadn't come up that way. I think that in the past several years we've made a lot of strides, and I think they figure I'm doing it, and I'm doing it well.
What do you think that resistance says about society in general when it comes to a woman being the boss of what people still see as a male industry? And here we are, 2013, and we're still fighting, in a sense.
Well, actually, I don't think I had as much to overcome as a female as I did to overcome as just not having a correctional background. I've never been treated disrespectfully either by inmates or other officers. For my gender. It's been more that I didn't have a correctional background. So, and I think it's taken a little time, but we've made, as I said, a lot of movement. And currently my president of my union, the Prince George's Correctional Officers Association, is female. She's a longtime corporal, and I think she understands the position, and we get along quite well.
I'm sure you had support from people in your family, but as the news traveled within the family tree, what was their response?
Well, I think some of my cousins still don't believe it, and my mother bristles at the term warden. She just says she never raised me to be a warden, I guess. But she also knows that I guess I can be bossy at times, so she thinks that I'd make a interesting boss, if not necessarily one she'd want to work for.
But she's still proud.
Yes. And my husband, I have 3 daughters, so my husband and I have always, not tried to maintain just gender roles for them that are in tradition. My husband's Secretary of State of Maryland, and one of his great lines is, Mary Lou's a warden, and I'm just a secretary.
Oh. Tell us, in your position, I imagine it's demanding and, intense. What are some of the lessons that you've learned in your position?
Well, I think time management is a goal that any woman needs to know. And I sometimes think that we're better at time management than men, because we often have many roles. With roles as a mother, roles as a wife, roles as a daughter, roles as a sister. So I think that we sometimes do time management better. As the director of a large department, we have over 600 employees. We have usually about 1,200 inmates, 1,200 to 1,300 inmates. There's a lot of people to deal with, and my time can be very demanding. So I think that There can be a lot of demands on my time, I should say. But I think that, you know, being able to control that, being able to delegate and have faith that people are going to do the way you, the job the way you want it done, you learn. And I think that's probably one of my skills.
What are some of the programs you feel are rather underappreciated in the general public when they think of the Department of Corrections?
Well, I think just in all field of corrections, people just think of detention and holding people in confinement. And while we have inmates in our control, we try to have them leave a little bit better prepared for life, so hopefully they won't come back. That's always the goal. That recidivism in corrections is is still high, and we'd like to limit that. So we really push education. We have a high school education program where they graduate with a high school diploma. We are very pleased with that. We have some more unusual roles. We have a barber school. We have a cosmetology program for the females. Our barber school, not only is it very successful, it actually saves the county money. We have a master barber who runs it. He has about 8 students at a time. They go through the program, and when they leave, they can get certified. We have 100% job placement, and in that program, we only have about a 15% recidivism, as opposed to 35 or 40 in most without that type of program.
Through the programs, they are still competitive positions. You can't just walk in and say, well, I want to start the barber program.
Right.
There's a series of steps. There are a series of steps that the inmates have to go through to get accepted. Okay. What is that process like for them when they're told no?
Well, you know, a jail is different than a prison in that most of our people are pretrial. And we do have a sentenced population. In the state of Maryland, you can be sentenced to 18 months or less in your local facility. So we have some inmates that are sentenced and some that are pretrial. We target the sentenced inmates because we'll know we'll have them for a lengthy period of time, and for the programs first. But certain programs like education are actually open to a wider group. If you've been charged with a violent crime, you know, we're not going to let you be work in the barbershop where you have access to scissors and razors and those kind of things. So we screen. Classification in corrections is very important. So how we classify the inmates, and that's based on prior incarcerations and how they acted that time. It has the crime that they're charged with, and just their whole general attitude.
Okay, we have about 10 seconds. Give us 2 or 3 tips for a young lady who may want to become a warden.
Stay in school. Get your high school diploma. College can help. Correctional. They're teaching corrections in colleges, but beyond that, just public safety or criminal justice, okay. And then apply, because we're very interested in you. All
right. Thank you so much, Mary Lou.
Thank you.
If you would like to volunteer within the Department of Corrections, call 301-952-4800. Coming up